Hello people, Luigi is back in action, and here we are with Dominion 6. We are playing Late Age and Caelum, the nation of bearded weirdos, winged weirdos, fuck, okay, the bird people nation. And we are still in it here with massive construction of walking corpses, because in the Late Age, as we remember, Caelum is more about death than it is about causing storms and other messes like in other ages. Hillary 2024, Queen of Bricks, warrior against the sun, cast a great enchantment upon the sky. It holds the seeds of the omniscience reserved for he that is to rule them all, and it is... yeah, that's this one global where if you have fire you can just dispel it very easily and steal someone's eye. But otherwise, not much to say about it. It's a global that allows you to, the name escapes me at the moment, to see everything. Also, the astute viewer might have noticed that there is a missing turn, since we're already in the early fall of the year 3 now. This is because last turn nothing happened at all. I moved armies and continued recruitment, that's it. Not even interesting skirmishes on the other side. TC managed to relieve a really tiny, surprisingly tiny force of the siege units from Femini, but that's already it. So since we already have had a lot of turns where I did nothing but recruit and plan, I skipped it. Also, I was dead tired. We also have now several of our really strange fuckers. Last turn we saw the first Yasat arrive on our doorstep. This turn we called for an Ahurani, so we see the second one. I learned last turn that Hilma can't cast Ahuranis because they need water and astral, not just astral and earth, air, sorry. We are still not finding any new sites, it's comical, really. And our neighbors are still fighting each other. We still have Femini using their tiny forces of raiders taking on the enemy, but in this case they run straight onto a force of TC and get flattened. So sooner or later Femini will need to use actual armies to continue this. It's just know that the Ancestor vessel, the heavy horse and the Ancestor vessels have deployed. Things will get tricky. The barbarian heavy horsemen are just that. High protection, attack skills nice, defense skills nicer. There are pillagers which can ruin a province really fast if they're on your territory. And they're good riders, multiple attacks. One of them, of course, a long-range bow, so they also make good bowmen in a cinch. All around, very expensive, but thanks to the Dominion 6 upgrade of their own house. Also really good units. Better than normal archers, which will just ineffectively die. And here are the Ancestor vessels. They are another upgrade to the basic heavy horsemen with amazingly good stats, and they are sacred. Hard to see what all is the blessing here and which not. Well, we can look. Well, at least we know the bless. We can just look it up. I'm guessing the attack skill and defense skill is for Mary a bit lower, so we might see some upgrades from their bless online here. Maybe not. They're even better riders. They have spirit side, thematically apropos, but it could also be a gift from their bless. We have to look this up soon. And their horses, which are also sacred and are heavily armored and can really aim fairly well with their hoof, despite being just animals. So that's an additional attack they can throw in here. And the howling bow is a magic weapon. That's a nice and nasty surprise for enemies who thought themselves invulnerable. Good range. And they can cause fear, which of course does nothing against fear-immune people. But those might be a surprise to get hit by magic damage instead. So it evens out in the end. PC can also summon lots of death in the Late Age, as you might have guessed by now. Now all those undead are trying to die, but there are just not enough of the real ones to make a difference. So despite having only 5 HP, that's it. The end for the battle. If the game lets me. So before I'm continuing, let's take a look at Bless the Nations. If I can remember this time which is the right. Pretenders of the World, yeah. So, let's see. Full communism for real this time. No. Shock weapons. Oh yeah, that's nasty. It doesn't do much damage, but it stuns, and this makes it impossible to defend or attack for a turn. Air shield. It's a bit on the low side, but hey, okay, it helps a little bit. 40% chance of not getting damaged by bullets is a nice thing. Yeah, they have an additional defense skill. And blur, which makes them even harder to hit, and magic resistance. So yeah, the spirit side is naturally, and they have a lot of upgrades I didn't even notice, because I'm really bad at numbers. Femini in turn can cause fear, and is invulnerable, which of course makes them really bad at fighting an enemy that can shoot them full of magic bullets, archers, bows, you know the thing. Arrows, yeah. Next down the list was a battle in Red Waste, where Agartha attacks TC, so with a lot of crossbowmen and blind fighters. Yeah, it was not much of a defense, but yeah, that's at least 3 players all fighting TC, and I'm really hoping TC will continue to fight, because the longer Ulm is getting distracted, the better. And if we take out Ulm, the fight might be even on even odds. We of course want our neighbors to fight, since it makes our own chances better. We just don't want them to all fight us. That would suck. Yeah, heat. That is really bad for our troops, so we want to avoid fighting Agartha as much as possible. They also have spirit side, which would help them a lot against the good old favorite of mine, elves, and their scary, creepy elf bullshit. And they have acid weapons. That's new in Dominion 6, and it's appropriate now, because in earlier versions of the game there was no way in hell to resist acid weapons. They would have been terribly OP. To use gamer speak here. Fire resistance, of course, and their magic beings. Yeah. So acid weapons are terrifying, because yeah, that's some shit here, and it's magic. It is also causing armors to rust, so it means that the protection value of heavily armored guys will go down if they get hit by this. It's really nasty, and luckily this time around there are ways to mitigate it. They are rare, but they are there for crafty players, since there is now a new acid resistance you can have. So, and in this game you have now acid weapons, and yeah, so whoever gets hit by those will get really sad really fast. There's not much left here, everything is on fire here. Oh, that's funny, so his cave knights don't have fire resistance, they just walk straight through and are now on fire. Yeah, okay, this is the reason why cave knights are kind of sometimes food in this game. This could have been so easy, but he lost 2 expensive cave knights and made a net loss in fighting this tiny defense force. He has to either have to learn to keep his cave knights away from his blast units, or stop recruiting them, I suppose. Then there's another battle where Agartha managed to win, but yeah, they also lost a chunk of their expensive cave knights. The blind fighters, of course, slaughtered a lot of troops. Looks like TNG's setup works less well against Agartha, since their heavily armored troops don't care as much about being pelted with tiny arrows. Yeah, the footman, the horseman, and the heavy horseman all die. And the mage is also older, so this is a heavy defeat. No sacred, so that means that it was probably not a really main force. It's too small for this. And here the world's largest assemblage of cave drakes and their knights. There's a lot of gold sitting there. Of course, the mages try to send skeletons down the Rhine. No surprises here. And then, of course, Agartha sets them on fire. And as last time, the cave knights take a lot of friendly fire here. Holy fucking shit. Those poor beasties. That's no way to treat pets. Yeah, so this battle again would have been an easy battle to win with 0 losses if we hadn't brought the cave knights. I mean, the cave knights did kill a lot of already weakened enemies, mostly probably skeletons. I'm guessing the blind fighters would have had no problem to set even more undead on fire. Probably the battle would have gone the same way if we had brought 50 sheep and easily replaceable units instead of cave knights. 16 all burned by their own sacreds. Now, that is an interesting way to fight. And a battle in art, where we scouted a final moment for us here. The throne we will be assaulting external. Tons of archers, so a lot will depend on our storm. I don't want to, we don't really have an option to save our entire army's asses with spells, since the new, the entire battlefield protection spell against arrows has been moved down a lot, like I talked last time. Then we have shit like heavy cavalries and basic soldiers, where we'll have to kind of hope that our bullshit magic is better than theirs. At least they only have one really beefy mage, the Anunnaki of the Morning Star, a pretender chassis, and far stronger than here. The battle screen doesn't tell everything. They also have living statues, which are hard to crack, but at least they die fast since they don't have many hit points. They attack and defend fairly well though. They are something you have to account for. Then there are the spring orcs. Tiny, but there are a lot of them, and all of them attack with lightning swarms. Ironically, since so many of our units have shock resistance, that should go a lot better than the pure numbers look. But yeah, that's a big beefy army. Makes me glad that there are nearly 200 abominations between us and them. Well, until our flying units commit suicide by flying into this. Yeah, we have those archers here with really big ranges. And yeah, that's a lot of damage. Makes me glad it's not armor piercing. And those fuckers who will run into our big beefy undeads and then get shocked to death is the plan. Those guys will of course attack us in turn, and they are flyers, so this could be nasty, possibly. We don't really have a say in where those guys go. If they land among our mages, it could be painful. If they attack one of the many units on the battlefield with shock resistance, it will go badly for them. They can attack and defend fairly well, but they will die to any hits they get. While their mind weapon, the lightning swarm, won't really do anything against us. And, oh, kitten, you're on red. Amber. Sorry, my cat came back in, and since it's fairly wet outside, there's now spreading the water around a bit here. Yeah. Yeah, of course, throw stuff to the ground. Why not, you? Currently, I think she has a second sense for my recording sessions. Anyway, yeah, so that's them. They have the strength of the springs, which gets better in spring, and whoop, yeah. Yeah, that guy was dead. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I have to split my mind between cat and game right here, because this is interesting. Why did the Anunnaki attack. And why is she deceased already? Oh no, is there one of those stupid fuckers hiding here? Oh no, she isn't even that good, but with the giant army there must be a level 3 drone here. Nice equipment here. Get a closer look if any of that shit even survives. An Amonos Cauldron of Breath gives 150 supply. This is possibly a reason why they need this with it, because a single province having this much shit in it probably heavy on the supply strain. Of course, the thing is, I'm really hoping the disease she got from just sitting in a province with hundreds and hundreds of troops. Too bad we can't look how many wounded there are in this screen. Because it would be interesting to see if there are any other deceased units among this shit here. If it's only the Anunnaki, I don't know. Oh, there is another guy. This one. The Ignium of Caelum. I can't barely read this, but it's another magic guy with all the gems in the universe. And fairly nice paths. So even if we kill the Anunnaki, at least there is another mage with some hit points in the background being able to give us a good fight. All the other shit, you guys, of course, that's just us against them, with the Enkidus having lots of hit points and not much protection. And these guys are just toast. They're basic infantry units. They're just kind of there. Okay, so we expect heavy losses. We prepared our army as best as we could, and here, the Umu Apkalu. That's kind of funny. So normally I would have expected one super mage here. Still no idea why she suddenly berserked. Maybe it's the second super mage who has nature. Might have missed some kind of... Anyway, if she attacks into the huge mass of our idiots, well, that's really good for us, because then she's not casting any spells, even if her own shock resistance probably means that our undead have to beat them with their big meaty fists, and that might take a while. Then it went in here in Mighty Pillars, in Ill Omen. Yeah, this might be a gift from our neighbors, because there is a spell that can cast this. It's of course on the wrong side, so it might be just an event. Then another event here. Magical gems, nature gems this time. So, next up on the list, where's our army? It is now here. Supply strain fairly high, but they're not yet starving. And as you can see, the army in art is big. Fucking huge. So we have now two big armies set to fight each other. And as we've seen, we have flyers. And here now is the question. Do we risk it to our idiots here, who will be, after all buff themselves, and then surround themselves mostly with skeletons? Yeah, invulnerable 18, because of the equipment here. It's kind of funny how our mages are lacking in resistances. Yeah, so our mages aren't really rocking the same resistance as some of our troops do. Too bad, because the shock resistance part is 10, so high enough to completely negate their fucking hell. I just realized I could just... yeah, okay, so the flyers will come to us, of course. Enemy archers, enemy flyers. Enemy flyers, so this of course makes a lot of sense. Too bad I just remembered this now. Can just order some of our resistant troops to attack flyers. This will make them come back and attack them. Our Earthbound, of course, don't have anything natural. And just big beefy units were also lucky. Hold an attack closest. So this might be a mess. Because our Storm Guards, yeah, have to kind of attack the flyers. Because since they can fly, That's the important part. They can follow the flyers wherever they go, and 50 of those guys should be enough to eventually kill all those birds, since even if they're kind of at the back foot with attack skill 11 to defense skill 15 on their end, they will eventually completely wipe them out, since every single hit will kill one of them, while their own protection and resistances mean that the birds will be completely harmless against them. I would like to put them on attack immediately, but since I have no idea who goes first, it could get messy, because then all of our storm guards will drop right on the enemy flyers. I think maybe the defender goes first, right? It's of course kind of funny here. We have some vulnerable units where we don't want the birds to land, and including our mages. So the storm guards being set to attack the birds will mean they hopefully follow them if the birds go first. If they go for the course constructs, for example, yeah, well. But since the birds also have resistances, you know what? I have all those super beefed up sacreds in the back row and my insane clot of units. And I have, of course, another stashed away, so let's do it like this. Better safe than sorry, because I really don't want to see my mages catching 100 energy beams into their stupid faces. So let's do it like this. So even if they go first and then go down close to the enemy army, at least they have enough protection to catch a lot of arrows without going down, and they will prevent the birds from getting too close to us until our big fat course constructors will hopefully clog up the enemy lines against all the units that don't have shock resistances, which should be funny. To give you something to expect. Yeah, 1 overcharged, 1, so that will damage and possibly stun the attacker. So overcharged 1 means they have 1 charge, so I don't not really clear how much damage this actually does. They will also never heal, but if we let them stay until a lab is constructed, they will be repaired at least. Inanimate means there aren't that many spells that can take them down on the magic mind control end of things. Cold resistance is good, but also shock resistance is incredibly high. That means the Thunder Strike, which can normally kill anyone even with shock resistance outright, can't actually kill them, because half of the damage will be gone when they hit, and that's not enough to destroy them outright. So they are actually strong enough to even withstand Thunder Strike 1 or 2 maybe. Protection of course means a lot of weapons will still kill them, and fast, with defense skill is as close to 0 as you can get. The main thing to make them is, of course, because if someone touches them, then they get shocked. That's all about them. And they're of course a one-trick pony, because if they have discharge, then they get harmless. It's just if you mass a lot of them, the theory is on, then it will fuck it up incredibly good. So that's it. The battle will begin next turn. And you, my friend, what do I do with you? I'll continue to search in vain for sites. So let's go here, because there is no... There was a death site, so maybe there are other sites. I keep... this is... So, let's see, where we need scouting. Oh, there's another army, probably going for more of TC. That's actually very good for us, because this means there won't be a huge stack we have to find ways to execute, but multiple taller stacks, that might be easier for us. So let's start scouting away from us here. So back to our capital. We now have these guys here. We also went through most of our astral pearls, until we get more income, we should probably wait a bit. Our loss of air games has slowed down a lot because we now have at least +4, which is enough for 12 course constructs. And even though we make 21, that's not that many games we're losing. But still, I think at around 20 I'll do things down by a lot. Oh, did I forge anything last turn? Forgotten? Nope. Whatever I did with this one, it's lost to history. So, new mages. This is the Yassad we got first time around. He is the Astral Mage, which dovetails nicely with our sacred Astral Sages. Because now we have a second mage besides our Pretender God, who can be the master of a chain of fuckery. And here is water level 4, which can turn to 5, 6, 7 and so on fairly easy if I have enough slaves to put into a communion. In this case, should probably beef up the units here before continuing. Yeah, so now this one can have troops too. So we have sages who help us with research, but in a sense there will also be the sacrificial part of a big communion. In this case 4, 2, 4, that means +2 to each path. So for example, if Zaimusi gets in, his 4-2 would turn into 6-4, so nice. Or Pretender doing the same would then turn into an 8-9. So that's a lot. That means that we are already at the level where we can cast some endgame spells with our research keeps up. And our second Yassad is this guy, who is Astral 4. So in our example, he would already get to Astral 6 without any extra gear. So this one is something you have to look out for, because if we don't want to risk our Pretender God, this guy and or lady, maybe, no, guy, will be the one who can be trusted to take up insanity on the battlefield if we need some of our really big astral spells. With some boosters we might be able to charge, he would be up to 6. Then we give him a standard, a special standard, a battle sign that will autocast a spell that will give him then +1 to his astral power. Then we should be at 7, and 4 slaves alone would get him to 9. So we are already being here even though he's weaker. Hima of course is even more insane. The same boosters would get him to astral 9 before even any slaves show up. And then he would be at astral 10 with the standard, and even two slaves alone communion with him would be enough to give him 11. And so on, 12, 13. We could probably get him to 14 if we're really pushing it. But of course, it will be a long time before we get here. And then we have the Ahurani, which is just a tiny water mage who can fly. And a girl. And lots of tags like flying, recuperation. The unit heals its afflictions over time. Once the unit gets old. So her age is 172. And max age is 300, so this means when she gets old, is about the game 3 times over, since each year is 12 turns. That's a lot of turns. She also has the Disease Healer, which is kind of funny, because you need this, as I'm now remembering, because I've just sent my army in to a zone where they might get diseased. Oh, she needs 2 turns, so let's get her to the swamp first, in case she is needed. So this is of course nice, because each Ahurani possibly has those powers. They can even regenerate 50% of the hit points underwater, which means, since they only have 14, well, it's not a lot, but it essentially means each time they get hit and don't die, the next turns will be at full health again. Yeah, but if they get hit with something that can kill them, it would kill them immediately. They also have some slash, blunt, and pierce resistance, which in each case will half the damage they receive. They also have some cold and poison resistance. Lots of poison resistance. Hello. Also don't need to eat. So that means they eat no supplies. They have spirit side, so no elf shenanigans against them. And gift of water breathing more than they can actually need. Very useful because those water breathing things are size points. I think 120 size points means something like 60 units of size 2, 30 units of size 4 and so on, roughly speaking. Or size 3 and then size... Well, we have to experiment a bit. It's possible like getting another Ahurani, just in case, because the second disease healer is immensely useful. Yasatas are the basic second sacreds that are hidden. There is a third group we can't really get with our paths, the evil versions, while the Yasatas are the good versions. And we'll see them later on, but also I have to regain some of our astral parts first, since summoning all those super mages has been a lot. You know, I have 2 Yasats to reinforce our troops, and 2 Ahuranis, one of which I'll send east, and I'll probably send rest to form up a second army. And inside here we have this giant stack of assholes. Yeah, those are the undead. I have to scroll back down until yeah, you might need at least some basic spelly to it. King, where are you? King, here. Here. Stay behind troops, and yeah, we're already up to a nice little block here. And again, we just want to very slowly shamble forward in skirmish mode. So until I have a second block, let's put them in the middle. And you asshole, please go a step back so you don't get overwhelmed. Now we have some more storm guards, some more basic infantry, and a big batch of earthbound. So we are already up to something like a second army. We just need a lot more mages to recruit. Right now we have just 1 Pathos here. Oh, we already have a second death mage. That's nice, because we can send him off then next. And yeah, we can go back to Harab Seraphs here now. Ah, fuck, yeah, I completely forgot to change this. Well, that's my own fault for not realizing this. Ah, holy fucking hell. One too many. So that's now, yes, so now that's a bit saner. I have a lot of flying scouts here now. At least this means that if I have to move this reserve army, at least I have a leader in reserve back. A stealth army gets to the point where it's not very stealthy anymore. And then we have these guys here, scouts and leaders. Let me guess, I did the same thing here, right? Nope. And but there already is one here and here. Yeah, we don't really have a leader here, right? So, well, we can send our shoplers now over to Fetch Cliff to take over army duties there. So this guy arrived here this turn, and another attempt to find anything at all. Yeah, so nothing found. So let's keep on searching, because if we are finished, we can just send them to the next army then. Yeah, here, of course, we don't have enough money left over now that we have insane armies of doom recruiting everywhere. Here's just Harab Seraphs and some stealth troops. And some basic infantry to pretend that everything is okay. Of course, there are no stealth leaders here anyway. Okay, that's kind of funny. I've completely forgot this shit. Well, we have a stealth leader here, right? And some normal guards units. Oh, so basic infantry. So Yeah, okay. I keep one here. See, 29, 25. I might be needing another Raven Lord soon here. Ah, fuck, of course. No, well. I'll keep those two here and send this one over to Faircliff so he can take on duty of collecting troops here. In order to stay hidden here, to not panic Patala too much. Like this one here stays hidden. If he arrives, I mean, after he arrives. Over here we can reduce yeah, of course, we're already at negative resources here, so let's scale things a little bit back here. Collect some reserve money. Then we have... Yeah, of course, here the game will stop everything. We don't have any holy points left, right? And we have Harab Seraphs, and yeah, so let's continue with this. Yeah, why not? Can probably get one more here, so. Then we're slowly running out of things, but we need more basic troops too, because I expect heavy losses. So let's get one of those here, because they have better attack skills, defense skills, sorry. And they're meant to hold the line. Okay, ice lines were of course better, but I wanted some diversification here, so I kept going for the guys with the ice blades. They even have some more protection, or I can take one hit more, if we are lucky. They are the cheap throwaway gag troops of our armies. So, Polgrave, of course, needs more recruitment right now. Then, yeah, okay. Since I already have a big beefy army here, and since I keep piling on idiots here and here. Let's keep it at this, because this is the reinforcements I need for the main push. And yeah, so let's take it like this, two of those, and a third one. Okay, finished. No mages for these guys here. I prefer to have my mages recruited in silence, mostly far away from the battlefronts. We're recruiting now 1, 2, 3 mages, 4 mages a turn. That should be enough. Of course, Polgrave. Well, anyway, it doesn't really matter since all of our mages can fly, the main ones at least. So we are already into preparation for the next big army, which I will then send to the west. And next turn we will see how much damage our army can do. I expect a full victory. The only question is how much will it cost us? Because while our insane idea of using the undead menace to our advantage is sound on the ground of paper, we'll of course never get to this point. I tried this last in the game of Dominions 4, and while it looked certainly impressive, it was also a game where so many guys summoned so many skeletons on all sides, the game actually crashed. Yeah, our armies generated so many skeletons and battles, the game couldn't continue. Later than after the game was given up for good, the devs even came out and managed to send out a fix to defeat this nasty too many skeletons bug. So we have a sizable army going here after more shit of TNG. Agartha is taken over from Femini over at the Red Races, so this gain is already gone. Then we have this small army, but all this army can do is clear out more shit for theoretically us to target, while Ulm is walking around here and keeping up the siege with a smaller force. Of course, what happens in the future depends on how good the air battle and Ardloy goes. If the losses are too extreme, I might postpone our Ulm offensive for a while and instead send out our flyers to Vulture on TC. Sadly, we'll have to move targets on them, simply put, so we don't fall too far behind. And our friends on the other side will, of course, continue to take over TC provinces. We don't even have to warn Femini if TC has already retaken that shit. Doesn't look good for TC, but they still have most of their thrones. And we don't want Ulm to get too big, since blood magic is nasty in a Dominions game, and Ulm is the master of blood magic in the late 8th. Patala still not looking too big. Doesn't look like Pythium has attacked them or anything. Yes, of course, this wildcard here, Pyrene. But otherwise, it looks like Agartha, Ulm, and Femini are beating up TC. And we don't have that much time to really to fuck around here. Patala is, of course, wedged in between us, and if they see our stacks, multiple stacks at this point moving around, they probably don't want to go to war with us either, especially since we only have one lousy throne right now. Two, but then TC still has a lot more. But yeah, if we look too scary, TC's fate is also ours. So as long as barbarians, long that horsemen. This might be again for our undead against theirs, since most undead don't have shock resistance. I think from going, hey, wait a minute, I could look at the battle, right? There are some of those where we see undeads clashing, like in Mammoth Grove, right? The Mount King and the Long Dead Horseman. They have, oh yeah, I didn't misremember. Most undead have some form of cold resistance, but not shock resistance. So the Swordman and all those Long Dead Horsemen colliding with our troops would immediately disintegrate if they get shocked. So we don't have to fear undead ourselves. Our undead mages will also spam the battlefield with skeletons over time. We don't really have enough for the most massive of all spams. But we also have our air mages powered up by, hopefully, let's check our script on last time. We of course the divine blessing from board game first. For all of our earthbound, so they're secure against first fatal hits. And we have this guy who's moving away. Yeah. Air shield, skeletons, summon earth power, our buffing spellmaster here. Where is our level 3? I'm fairly sure I took him with me. Ah, here he is. Okay, Stormwind. That's funny. Good that I looked the last time here. Because, of course, at this point it's Storm what we need. And yes, he can cast it and then power himself up eventually. Probably take a nap over casting like this. But yeah, oof, that would have us close. So Storm is a go. And our army of insane flyers and undead abominations will advance to the next turn. And that's it. Proper preparations complete. Libluini out.